What's up, Bakugan fans? It's D Hard. In this video, I'm going to go through all the Baku gear cards that you use for the Bakugan Pro trading card game that the Aquos or blue faction has. And a quick recap on how a gear works. These cards are in your deck. You can have 3 per copy, like any other action card or Evo card. And what happens is this is one of the Bakugan on my team. This is its character card. If I had this card, Tempest Generator, in my hand, I could choose to pay the cost, 2 energy. I would pay 2, and when I play it, I get to re-roll this Bakugan. So if I roll this Bakugan and I miss, I didn't pick up a cord that I wanted, I can pay 2, play this card, re-roll my Bakugan, and attach this card for the rest of the game to Blitzfox. And it's here. And the stats are added to his stats for B power and damage, so that can beef him up throughout the rest of the game. If I wanted to replace this gear and I had another gear in my hand later on, I could pay that gear's cost, 2 energy, and I would take this card and I put it into the discard pile. I would get the effect that Aquatomic Payload gives me. I would draw a card, and then I would attach it under Blitzfox, and I would still get these stats for that turn and for the rest of the game, unless my opponent chooses to counter me somehow, which they can do. They can negate gears, they can destroy gears, so that can happen. So now I'm gonna go through all of these gears. We'll talk about which ones I like, which ones I think are strong. We're gonna go in order of cost from cheapest to most expensive. And let me know which ones you have, which ones you like to use in decks. Bakugan trading card game is so much fun, and gears are an awesome part of it because it feels like you get to beef up your Bakugan and make them stronger and stronger as the game goes. And gears are strong because the longer you have them attached, the longer you get their bonuses for, and the stronger they become. So first off, we have Tempest Generator. 2 energy, you get to re-roll your Bakugan when you play this card, and it gives you 100 B and 1 damage. Very similar to Tempest Generator is the next card, Aquatomic Payload. It's 2 energy, 100 B and 1 damage, and it lets you draw a card when you play this. So these gears are the same stat-wise, and you can either use the one to reroll or the one to draw. So these are both pretty cool. After that, we have Hyperdrive Booster, the next 2 cost. 200 B, 0 damage. It has this little armor rating here. This is a shield, and it's called armor. For 1, it means that when you are taking damage and this card is in your deck and you're flipping cards, milling cards off the top of your deck, because this game is life decking, when you flip this over, you count the card as 1 damage, then you count this number in the shield for however many damage it says. So the card is 1, and then 2, because I add the 1, and then I keep flipping cards. So it decreases the amount of damage I take, and that's a pretty cool effect there. So this one says, if another card causes you to reveal this from your hand, you may re-roll a Bakugan. The Aquos faction, the blue faction, has cards that are called sync. It's a keyword that says if you reveal a card in your hand that costs a certain amount of energy, you get the effect. So this card goes well in a sync deck where you can plan to use this to re-roll your Bakugan. And it's a little bit better than what this card is giving us because it's giving us 200 B. So it's a better B power card. The next card is Vortex Blaster for 3 energy, 100 B, 3 damage, and again, it's a sync card. It says when you play this, you may reveal a card in your hand that costs 5 energy or more for 500 B. So you would play this card when you have an expensive card in your hand that costs 5 or more, get that 500 B that turn, and then it gives you 100 B and 3 damage for the rest of the game on that Bakugan. Next we have Aquaburst, 3 cost, gives you 2 Frost Strike along with 200 B and 2 damage. So the Frost Strike means that your opponent will have to pay 2 more energy for any flip card that they're playing when they're taking damage from the Bakugan that has this Baku gear equipped. So if this Bakugan is doing 2 damage to the opponent because it won the battle, your opponent has a flip card that costs 1 energy to stop your damage. It would actually cost 3 for them to play that card, and if they don't have that energy, all of your damage would go through. So that's what Frost Strike is, and the Aquos faction has a bunch of cards that have Frost Strike on it. And you're gonna see that the closer we get the cost of the energy to the amount of B power or damage that they're giving back, the better the gear. So if we have a gear that costs 3 and gives us 303, those are the best type of gears that we can get to. And here's an example where we have Aqua Plate. It costs 3 energy and it's giving us 400 B. No damage, but that's a lot of B power to get from a gear for 3 energy, more B power than the cost. So think about it this way. If it was in play for 3 turns, that's 400 times 3 is 1200 B for 3 energy over 3 turns. And so if we divide 1200 by 3, that was 1 energy for 400 B. And that's a really strong card. Like if we have regular action cards, they give us 1 energy for 300 B. So if we keep Aqua Play in play for 4 turns, it ended up being better than this Aqua Slash card for the ratio and for the fact that it gave us, 400 B turn after turn after turn for only 3 energy. So that's why gears are cool. The longer you keep them in play, the stronger they are. Then we have Baku Thrusters, 4 energy for 300 B and 3 damage. A little bit more balanced than Aqua Plate, a little less B power, but it has that damage with it too. Then we have Crest Stormers, which is one of the stronger Aquos gear cards. For 4 energy, you get 400 B and 2 damage. So that's awesome. It has 2 armor, so it's a strong defensive card. It reduces the amount of damage you take by 2 if you flip this card over when you're taking damage. And then you can also pay 2 energy to draw a card when it's flipping from your deck, when you're taking damage. So all of that stuff is happening here. I just love that it has 4 energy for 400 B and 2 damage. It's more efficient to use than a lot of these other gears. Then we have Poison Wings, 5 energy for 300 B and 3 damage. So it's not as efficient as a card like Baku Thrusters that costs 1 energy less for the same stats. However, with Poison Wings, we're also getting 3 Frost Strike the turn that you play it. So you only get it when you play it. It's not like Aquaburst where you get that 2 Frost Strike every single turn the rest of the game. So 3 Frost Strike when you play this card, it helps you win the battle by getting you up in B power, giving you that 300. It adds 3 damage to the damage your opponent is going to take from you, and it means that their defensive cards cost 3 extra energy. It's a tough one to deal with. Then we have Aqua Greaves, 5 energy for 4 Frost Strike and 200 B and 4 damage. So a little bit of different variation there between Poison Wings and Aqua Greaves, depending on what you want to do. Then we have Wings of Aquos, 5 cost. You get to draw 2 cards when you play this card, and it's giving you 100 B and 6 damage. So this is a damage-focused gear card. If you're being aggressive, if you think you have other ways to win in B power, you play this card and you add on a lot of damage to your opponent. And then lastly, and maybe one of the other better Aquos cards as well, maybe top 2, Telekinesis Crown, 6 energy is giving you 600 B and 6 damage. That's huge. The ratios are awesome compared to all these other cards, and it's still giving you 2 energy. So when we look at another great card like Crest Stormers, 4 energy for 400 B and 2 damage, it doesn't equal the ratio and the efficiency that Telekinesis Crown is giving us for 6 energy, 600 B, 6 damage. So you probably hear a lot of people say that Telekinesis Crown is the best Aquos gear card that we have. And that's all of them. So let me know what you think. Which ones are you rolling with? Which ones do you like? What do you think is the strongest Aquos gear card for the Bakugan Pro TCG?